So there's a lot of things we've discussed a lot. Important to mention that this week for LCK, Shyvana is globally banned.
Yes. This is the version that isn't as ridiculous as when she did first become released. And so, therefore, we're probably not going to see her anyway, even if she was enabled. So, the Orianna is going to be taken away first as we dive into pick and ban for game number 1 of the LCK. Ignore the fact that it says LCK Cup at the top of your screen right there. That is not correct.
It is a tournament, and there's a cup that you get at the end.
Indeed. There is a cup that is involved at the end of the year. However, that is not what we're fighting for at this point in time. The LCK Cup, I said that it couldn't hurt us, and it's coming back to hurt us over and over again. It's a bit cruel when these are the last 2 teams from that particular tournament. All right, the Azir still going to be banned away, though, especially after his buffs on this patch. Why did that even have to happen? As the Rumble also going to be taken away.
Karma stocks are up since first stand. This pick was always a threat in the LCK, but it has been a larger threat. When we move to our first
an even larger threat to the draft that it has now destroyed, although we can hear it.
We might just be fixing a graphic and then it'll come back because I still hear the sounds. Might just be fixing that cup that you mentioned. You called it out. But anyway, as we move into this one, we'll see what does end up being the priority here. One of the picks that I'm most interested in for the start of LCK, which we saw Broken Blade debut to great success, was the top Shen. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of that here in 2026. It's always been viable, but with how 80 carries play and your ability to have teleport and then have your ultimate be a secondary teleport gives you so much side lane power and the ability to defend your carries and empower them as well. As Rise with the Orianna and the Azir taken away will be the first pick here for Hanwha Life Esports.
Yeah, and this is actually a big test for Loki as well. Rise still extraordinarily strong. And so looking forward to seeing what the response will be out of the young mid laner. You can see him there on your screen. I really wish I could pull off that color of gray. I feel like I'd just look old if I did it. Maybe it's just like I've hit the time where just gray wouldn't work. It's just a bit unfortunate. I've always thought it looked really cool.
You'll get there eventually, believe it or not.
By accident. It's a little bit of a different vibe.
So, there's no Karma here, but they'll just grab the Nico for lane dominance and a lot of engage. This gives Teddy a pretty flexible lane. Now, Namgung was arguably our weakest support. I don't think it's actually not even really arguable. I think it was. I
mean, it's definitely arguable. It's just very easily argued.
Yes. So we'll see how he is looking as well in terms of his current form as they'll look for the Jarvan now. And Rise plus Sivir is a lot of consistent damage and a lot of wave clear, so that deters that. I don't think Guma will be playing that pick here either. So 2 strong picks that also pair well with each other in terms of engage. Ezreal can get out of the Cataclysm, and it is a pick that Guma has shied away from a lot in the past, but Ezreal Bard can definitely go toe-to-toe with that Nico lane.
And Cassiopeia just snap locked in here by Loki. Looking forward to seeing how that one's going to go. It was always a matchup that people liked into the Rise. Although, didn't see it wasn't a counter pick necessarily. I feel like it didn't always win, but certainly does have some opportunities and does fit with this composition as well. A lot of AoE CC, hold them in position, throw them in the circle, and get that Pop Blossom to make stuff happen as well. Looking forward to seeing it, as the Bard and Ezreal is an extraordinarily strong lane, so we're going to have to find something real powerful here for Teddy, and maybe some bans could be thrown his way as well here from HLE.
Did enjoy the Ambessa jungle quite a bit, all the way back when he was playing in LCK Cup. He also really enjoyed the Aatrox jungle, but that has fallen off substantially. Still playable, I think, but definitely much weaker than he was when he was first buffed in the jungle. So that is a strong ban here for the Ambessa. Not a lot of engage here on the side of Hanwha Life Esports. They have set up for multiple different types of engage tools. As Caitlyn is going to hit the deck first, taking that one away from Teddy. Xin Zhao will be banned away from Kanavi. I think Corki is probably the one I'd take away here in this final spot for Hanwha Life Esports.
Yeah, don't allow for the same item spikes and things like that to be matched pretty comfortably.
Plus the Corki Nico lane does pretty well.
See what they actually do decide to get rid of, though. I think Misfortune is another option, although they will be taking away the Cassante instead.
Misfortune
not heading that way.
Really good in the lane and pairs incredibly well with all 3 of these picks that Hyunjin have locked in. So it's a really good shout that you mentioned. With the aggressive engage tools they have, though, the Jhin also works really well and is a powerful lane tool. Isn't going to be the pick that I associate with Teddy in terms of late game carry, but they do have a lot of damage in Loki's Cassiopeia, so it feels very balanced here. But I'm a little bit surprised at this pick rather than the Corki or the Misfortune.
Yeah, I don't like Jhin. Just don't like it. I don't think it's very good. So I'm sad. That is very subjective, ladies and gentlemen. I do need to say that. I'm just a bit of a Jhin hater.
I think people are pretty aware.
Yeah.
You don't have to give the disclaimer.
Well, I mean, it's the beginning of a new season. I have to set the stage for how things are going to go. And, yeah,
Jace,
still a Jhin anti, as it turns out. Jace is going to be considered as well. When it's, will be locked in.
When it's Zeus, it feels fairly blindable, but you are playing into a Jarvan. So that is always pretty scary, as he does not have really inherent escapes if he wants to be pressuring that lane.
This is a fragile draft.
Yeah, they need a strong frontline jungler, but Pantheon, I guess, will have to fit the bill. Now they have double globals in the Ryze Pantheon to play through sides.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind casting just locking in a tank and just saying, we're going to team fight, and you guys don't do that all that well. Might be the option. The Yorick is not team fighting. However, does do pretty well in the lane up against a Jace. The Aurelia would be a funny one, as casting having a bit of a giggle about it, but the Yorick will be the decision made here by Hanjin. And
Yorick is also just like one more mini Cataclysm on top of all of these other engages.
The Coolie Wall follow-up. Just keep him in the pen. All we needed was like a Vigar lock-in or something like that, you know?
On one hand,
we get cages everywhere.
You know, it feels really good that you can lock down one champion really well with those, with linking those together. The problem is that your main champion, while locked down with that, is just going to hop over with the Arcane Shift and not really care about it. But, I mean, look, Pantheon also has his shield he can put up. He can survive long in that. It's really just about how many targets Namgung, Loki, Gideon can link together here to set this up. And whether or not the Cassiopeia gets to a late game stage where she is really pumping numbers, doing the damage. The reason I trust Hanwha Life Esports' draft is because of the nameplates. Yeah. It's Zeus on Jace, even in a matchup that can be a little bit volatile, especially with a Jarvan on the other side that can punish you super hard. We know this guy knows how to walk the tightrope. We know he knows how to put the pressure on and team fight incredibly well with Jace. And when you put Ryze in the hands of one of our best mid leaders in Zeka, it feels like a surefire win. Here, a lot of question marks on how the engage is going to work. With Namgung being their weakest player, he has big shoes to fill here.
I would agree. However, it is a robust draft, and I like what the game plan is looking like here for Hanjin. It's just whether or not those ducks, as we were talking about, are actually going to get into a row. As let's get onto the Rift for game number 1. Well, I think I know who won the fan chance, as Hanjin need to raise their voices in game number 2. However, we need to get through game number 1 first in order to make that one happen. Welcome, guys. Here we are, finally back.
It's been a while.
It certainly has.
I mean, even though we had, the first hand's relatively short, it feels like we've still had an insanely long break. It's been about a month.
Yep.
And then even then we had a little break before going to Hong Kong, and unfortunately not all of us were able to be in Hong Kong, so it feels like it's been even longer.
Well, finally we're here, and we've got a laning phase that has begun. Already a little bit of biffo between Loki and Zeka, but I don't think we're going to be too worried about anything occurring too early on, as just Twin Fang won't be quite enough to get the Cassiopeia into a good position. Zeka already drinking some potions, though, as is Loki, so we'll just see who's going to be able to grab control of this lane. So far, it looks like the Snake is doing pretty well. Obviously, what we really want to be looking at is the bottom lane, but we're going to check out Zeus here versus Casting. Casting starting off having a little bit of trouble. Zeus utilizing that range advantage very, very well. And I mean, it's his Jace. He's just really good at playing this champion.
He speaks Korean well, That's kind of the
prerequisite.
Yeah,
indeed.
It's level 2. The Yorick with some jungle assistance can turn this match around, but it will be required, especially early on, as finally do get a look in on this lane. And it's the range supports to really dictate a lot of the pace of this lane and how many of those Qs Gumayusi can weave through. They will get the push through here. And Casting is just going to be eating some shock blasts for dinner.
Yeah, he really is. I think for quite some time here in this lane. Obviously, there are some opportunities. You need to hit as many morning mists as you possibly can. The more of them you hit, the more likely you are to win the lane. As, all right, Namgung does manage to at least land a bit of damage towards Delight, who doesn't hit the Cosmic Binding.
Yeah, Delight walking on that ward, just making it fairly easy to follow up there for Namgung, and ends up being a pretty nice trade back there. Loki really going toe-to-toe with Zeka here in this early laning phase. For those who did not watch LCK Cup, you know, Romer was not able to say the same in a lot of his early matchups.
Yeah, struggling a little bit, you could say, which is largely why we're seeing Loki here in the mid lane to start us off for Hanjin And so far, like you say, actually standing his ground. We'll just have to see how things go as the game continues, right? Because that's where experience really does start to trump through, right? This laning phase is the same as solo queue. It's just when you have to coordinate later on, get those macro decisions working, that's when things are going to change. As Loki does take a little bit of a queue here, but otherwise isn't going to be too worried and is still ahead in CS just a little bit.
One thing I noticed, because now that I'm a father, I wake up super early in the morning and I watch a little bit more LCS actually, because it's still on early in the morning here, so we are going to see a commitment of the Ghost from Zeka.
Yeah.
Is that the LCS team fighting is often very, I want to say scripted in the sense that it's often shot called by the players step by step before the fight happens, and I think this draft really suits that style, right? Where you have the Cataclysm, you have the Cassiopeia ultimate that you can layer on top, you have the Nico ultimate, so if they're able to communicate and set up these fights in a very obvious way, right? Like with this comp, it's pretty simple how to fight.
Yep.
They can plan, just hold up pre-plan
flash
here.
Forward, exactly right. Teddy taking a lot of damage. He'll gonna come out, and he does have to flash to get himself out of the way. Deadly Flourish is decent to offer a bit of damage back, but HLE, they got exactly what they wanted. However, they did invest every flash in this lane, and it's only Guma's barrier that is left up and available.
Now, see if Teddy can clear this wave. Looks like he'll miss one, miss two.
Does manage to at least get the experience for all of this. That is the main thing, as Namgung does manage to collect that last minion, but it looks like HLE will still have the push here. Will be able to get the crash and get themselves a little bit of a better back.
Yeah, Teddy is going to greed for this wave, it looks like. And it is really, I mean, you kind of have to do this. Because there's no flash for Delight, there's no flash for Guma. Even though Guma's high health here, Teddy feels like he can pull this off. Even goes for the interrupt, is unable to hit it, sadly for him. And we'll clear that. That was pretty massive that he was able to get all of those minions there. Because if he had to back, if Kanavi was down there threatening him and he had to give that up, it would have been a huge win for Hanwha Life Esports. In the end of the day, it's still a pretty big one, but not as big as it could have been.
Nope. Does go back and get a serrated Dirk, though. Obviously not as crazy as it used to be, but will be a decent first buy as he makes his way back towards the lane. As casting back up here once more with his teleport. Zayas previously teleporting as well. We'll see whether the Yorick is going to be able to get some control. Does have those steel caps, which will be helping a lot in this lane.
It's going to be pretty huge. Do have Gideon in the area as Zayas.
Yeah.
It's going to be introduced to the Maiden.
There's the Ghoulie wall. As Zayas down to about 50%. The Maiden is continuing to be frustrating. Let's see whether that 50 gold will go over to Zayas. It looks like he really wants it. It looks like the Maiden will vacate the area as the wave is going to crash on forward. And, down to 120. Be careful.
We're going to have a bit of a scuffle here, 3v3 in the jungle on the bottom side.
Elmorph does come out here as Namgung in a little bit of trouble. Teddy's the first one to go down, though, as first blood goes over to Kanavi. Gideon also in a bit of trouble as HLE. They regroup, and they will be pushing further forward. This Crab still under control of the Bros, but I don't think Gideon's going to be able to land a smite, and it will be HLE that locks that one down. And now 1,000 gold in the lead here in this early game.
Yeah, without some key ultimates here for Bro, I don't think this is really going to be ever really a favorable fight for them in this scenario with the Pantheon on the other side, and they just kind of ended up being a sitting duck there. That's first blood going over to Hanwha Life Esports, as well as full vision and scuttle control here on the bottom side. River, watch how this breaks out, because they have the faster rotation in, but they're not able to find a target, right? And then Teddy's just left on the opposite side of this fight, gets collapsed on by Kanavi, and it's just a free cleanup. And after that, there's just not enough damage here, even with Loki coming down with a health advantage. So that is quite simple. Hanwha Life Esports guys saying thank you for the freebie on this one.
Yeah, just a little bit unfortunate. Great Cosmic Binding here from Delight, but the follow-up not quite there, especially with Gumayushi only sitting on level 5 at the minute. Still, not end of the world here for the Bros, but if this is a sign of things to come, that could be worrying. We mentioned already, the nameplates are what's going to be carrying this one for HLE in a lot of regards, and I think now it is time to talk about the fact that if HLE do get an advantage with this composition,
it's impressive.
It rolls over you very, very quickly.
It really does, because Cassiopeia is so fragile in the side lane. and isn't going to be able to compete with the Pantheon that's ulting the Realm Warp potential that you have and the objective set. The fact that they have dragon control early is not a dragon yet, but will likely lead to one, which is also problematic here. Keep looking in at this bottom lane where Teddy and Namgung are holding their own.
Yeah, Teddy going to go golden here as the Tempered Fate does come on in. True Shot Barrage layered nicely here by Gumayusi, but does not land the Mystic Shot, and the damage off it back is decent here as the curtains have been called. Magical Journey does get HLE's bottom laners out of there, but still, Teddy not going to take this one lying down.
Namgung chugged through potions, or his refillable potion, and is healthy enough here. I don't think we'll see any follow-up to this. Kind of a tempoed fate, so to speak, there from Delight.
I like that.
To get lane control. They're going to get this plate. And the Kanavi is in the area with ultimate.
Yeah, Zeka comes down as well. Okay, good night, Teddy.
I think Gideon needed to be a little bit closer for the cover there, but even still, it would have been tricky to defend, and they're just going to let Loki push mid for the punish, but Zeka didn't even have Realm Warp, and they still got out-rotated and collapsed on there. The tempo from the Tempered Fate gave them the health advantage to set that dive up, and what Hanjin will get in return is just a plate here in the mid lane.
Yeah, just knocking down some of that crystalline overgrowth. That's kind of all they were able to do. Gumayusi is completely out of blue stuff, as he will take a little bit of damage from that blooming burst, but now looking for a reset. And HLE not going to get punished for that overload of the bottom side of the map. And we'll just continue to create advantages here in this game. 1.5k going to be that advantage, and I expect that that will continue to rise.
And it has just
no
been,
pun intended,
you know, tempered. Like, our expectations for Hanwha Life Esports were...
You've really got to, like, settle on tempered or tempo.
I know.
Well, like...
Well, hold on. I'm just going to let the tempo of this game go forward here as Gideon looks for the angle.
Yeah, the flash does come out there as the Pop Blossom connects onto only one. Delight having to flash to get out of the way as the Cataclysm goes in, and Gideon goes out by way of the Death Chamber as Gumayusi getting on in there. Not entirely sure about that one. He's taking a lot of damage. They flash to get out of the way of the Tempered Fate, and there's Loki helping Teddy grab that kill. Finally, he does go down, though, as Zeka will be able to finish him off, and Teddy now might be in trouble as him and Namgung just going to have to get out of there. And HLE going to take even more names, but at least the bros are on the board.
Yeah, he's like, I can't really kite away. I'll just let the dragon kind of help me get out of here. Wakes the dragon up and bounces his way out. As once again, Hanwha Life Esports just have the better setup here and the better scrapping teamfight composition early on. As we're once again going to see the donut connect.
Yeah, we're just, you know, we have to check in the top lane at some point, right?
Legally obligated.
Yeah, the 1v1 is continuing, ladies and gentlemen, but just not a whole lot to report. As we can see, though, everything very even up there, so that's kudos to casting, in my opinion, just because Zeus is so good. Let's have a look at this replay, then.
And Loki is in position to collapse through here, but the light flashes away, so he doesn't have an angle just yet. And so, unfortunately, this ends up being a bit of an overextension from Gideon. Guma going over the wall here actually almost cost them in a massive way. As you can see here, the Tempered Fate is going to buy a ton of time, though. Delight really plays this well. Loki gets isolated on the bottom side. They still end up winning the fight, but it was a lot closer, I think, Hanwha Life Esports were bargaining for. And if it were a closer game state, maybe that play from Guma could have backfired in a huge, real, permanent way.
Yep. Teddy was reloading in the most awkward timing as well during that. As True Shot Barrage is going to spot the bros are doing this. Dragon, they're going to be trading that one for these Grubs, though, as Kanavi up there will be taking those down. Grubs can be important as you do have a Jace, and he does just rip through these turrets.
Good read from Gideon to go straight to the Dragon, so even though they lose the Dragon fight, he died so early. Respawn as Kanavi's up here.
Yeah, he does throw down the Ghoulie Wall, but I don't think HLE are too worried about it, as even the Maiden will be falling. Kanavi very happily tanks up the turret, and that is about as textbook as you get as far as a dive in the top lane is concerned.
They got the Dragon, but they are so significantly down on gold. You mentioned what this composition could do from ahead, and it is very much ahead right now. Even with Loki getting so much alone time hitting these plates, he'll pick up a second one here. He's still 500 gold behind Zeka in this mid lane. Drops down to 420. After that plate does go over, but I mean, there's just not a whole lot in this composition for Bro when it falls behind, not just because of how oppressive Hanwha's comp is with double global, but we're talking about a Jhin, right? Yeah. It's not going to be able to carry too well. A Cassiopeia who might never come online, and a Yorick who's not really interested in team fighting in general.
No, he just wants to be in a side lane, and now he doesn't want to be in a side lane because side lanes are scary.
And his turret doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly. He's still going to die, and he doesn't have a turret. And so therefore, it's going to be even easier. And this is the ridiculous thing, right, about having globals on your side, right? There's none on the bros, and there is Grand Starfall and the Realm Warp. And so HLE, they have full control of this game, and it only gets easier when you can rotate as quickly as they can with those abilities.
I really feel that, okay, this could be something. It's going to be a little bit of damage. I really feel for Hanjin. Essentially, now you have to, if you lose the Herald, you lose the game. Like, you have to get back with Herald, because if you lose mid-turret, they can do whatever they want. I mean, they will ult you with Kanavi anywhere, in your jungle, on your blue buff, on your red buff. They're so far ahead, and they have that Pantheon and the Rise. If they see anybody, they will just kill them, and they can start getting that oppressive vision set up here. And even without Herald, Zeka's now whittling away at this turret. If the Herald goes over to Hanwha Life Esports, I think you could pretty much just kiss this game goodbye if you're Hanjin.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about it. Those 3 grubs working out here for HLE as well. So that plate does go over to Zeka. So as you can see here, pretty linear as far as this gold graph is concerned. So game 1 well and truly in control by HLE. The bros, Hanjin Breon, going to need a bit of a miracle as we crest this mid-game. And I don't think a Ghost Blade on Teddy is really the item spike that we're looking for.
I'm not looking at items. I'm just looking at R buttons.
I mean, it's hard to look at items when you're looking at the bros at this point in time.
They got some small pieces on the Yorick.
Yeah.
A single stack has been picked up here for Loki, but that means he's going to get more value later, arguably. With
hey, there you go. That's the cup half full right there.
I'm trying here for my bros, but I'm looking at R buttons. When those R buttons are available, maybe they make a miracle fight happen. Maybe somebody overextends. Maybe Hanwha are too grouped up and they get womboed. Because I think that's realistically how you get back in this game now.
Oh, well, Zeka is just going to walk towards Loki. There is a Grand Starfall as well, and the Cassiopeia is dead, ladies and gentlemen. True Shot Barrage was unnecessary, but kind of good as a bit of a cheerleading action. As Teddy, decent sidestep there on a couple of abilities, as Namgung turns up as well. And Cosmic Binding not quite doing too much. As, of course, they're not actually there. It was Zeus that had turned up, and Delight's still off to the side. And Gumayushi just looking to take some pot shots. These turrets are just not long for the world, though. HLE have pressure absolutely everywhere. They're almost 5,000 gold ahead.
They are kind of like wondering if they need to get the Herald at this point. It's interesting to watch Guma also be a pseudo third global with his True Shot Barrage. I mentioned that once the mid turret goes, they can kind of ult any single target because his comp is pretty fragile and does not have a lot of protections, right? Like, it's a Nico that's also squishy, and she doesn't really ideally want to use her ult to defend anybody, but, you know, we saw in that bottom side play, and we'll probably watch a replay of it for Loki. There isn't a whole lot he could do. He's just trying to farm pretty much under his turret, just outside of it, and Kanavi just says, no, you can't even be that far up. His bro are looking to get this Herald. See a TP.
Yeah. Teleport is going to bring the Jace over. Delight looking to try and start this fight up as the Tempered Fate goes entirely wide. Shape Splitter pretty good as Namgung gets himself out of there. So that will be the Rift Herald going over to the bros.
But they lose the mid turret.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer not to focus on what they lose. I like to keep it, assuming that maybe there's still a chance. But a 6,000 gold lead at 16 minutes, oh man, it's a tough sell. True Shot Barrage going to soften up Teddy here as well. And yeah, the bros, I would say, are on the ropes. Maybe that's that. I mean, that's what they're used to, right? Well,
sure.
So they'll be fine. They can figure it out.
They're on the ropes, so to speak. I will say one thing I'm happy about. I think Hanwha Life fans should be happy about is looking at Kanavi's KDA, 100% kill participation.
There you go.
He has made a massive impact.
I mean,
on this
he's
Pantheon.
even contributed in 100% of bros kills.
Yeah, he's everywhere.
He's so impressive.
But he has played well through his bottom side, and that is something that, you know, feels like a big positive after a long offseason of questions that we had for this roster. Looking good. Relatively simple with this draft to play it that way, but at least looking good at the outset here, as Namgung is not going to like this exchange. They are going to get the top turret with the Herald, and that's usually when you feel like you're not getting much with the Herald, but at least you got some gold in the coffers. You're like, yeah, mid is kind of out of the question. We're kind of trying to defend our mid inner right now, but maybe we can get some money somewhere.
Yeah, getting a few plates certainly going to be a good thing. However, no turrets have fallen down in there. The composition with a Yorick. That is not really what you want to be looking at as you crest the 17-minute mark. The casting is now down there on that bottom side with his Trinity Force in hand. and isn't too far behind as far as farm. Don't look at the money number. The money number is a little bit too large.
What's going on with the Breon Yoriks? You know, we had Morgan on the Yorick. We had Edgar's gone, Morgan's gone, and still casting ends up on Yorick somehow.
I mean, it is a decent matchup into the Jace, in theory.
You wouldn't believe it after watching Zeus play this one out.
We're trying to convince everyone that it is like, it's fine. You don't understand why he'd be picking this one. But as it turns out, Zeus is a different player when it comes to Jace performance, and is able to play like... I feel like Jace was never, like, prior to, like, the Zeus era, like, Jace was never really much of, like, a 1-3-1 style champion, but Zeus just finds ways to make it work, and is currently taking an inner turret, and no one is able to respond. Loki is up here towards the top side, so might be able to make it a trade, but a trade of an outer turret in top lane as the first turret for the Bros is not exactly worth it if the inner does fall down. Thankfully, it is defended, but I mean, it's on its last legs.
The Jace got it done alone, as now Loki's not even going to get this for free. Okay, maybe he will. Kanavi actually, in fact, uses his ultimate, so he gets even more value out of it, so small win there.
Yep.
But like, the Jace was wailing on this turret by himself, whereas the top turret had been hit by a Herald, and Loki's barely able to get it and get away. Does not have to flash, and Kanavi's ultimate is now down, so some small victories here, but this whole game has felt like Hanwha got big things, but don't worry, Loki's farming over there. And he's eventually going to be a threat. Surely in 4 minutes when that rod completes, you know, he's probably going to go up to 14. Maybe he'll be relevant, as Gideon is in trouble.
Yeah, Tempered Fate does come on through here. It is a Jarvan, so he can flag and drag. That is going to get him out of there. True Shot Barrage is going to do a fair bit of work, though, as now Gideon probably looking for a reset, which means no jungler on the map, and then HLE will have even more tempo control.
No Realm Warp, no Grand Starfall available. This is the kind of play that I was talking about where you have mid-turret gone as, ooh, Zeus may have overstepped.
Well, Deadly Flourish is just going to be avoided, and sometimes you press Ghost Blade and everything is chaos.
Maybe he didn't overstep, he fast-stepped. He stepped very quickly away.
And sometimes when you do that, you do, like, step over things.
It's the walking strategy we talk about often, but it's the walking fast strategy.
Yeah. And he does have Phase Rush as well.
Yeah, he's got Phase Rush and Ghost Blade.
Just needed to Ghost Blade. Also does have Swifties, and that feels pretty good. The guy is booking it. There is also a Cloud Soul in this game.
Yeah.
Which is a fantastic welcome to the Rift for game number 1.
Doesn't have any Cloud Dragons yet, but he likely will get one very soon. He seems really hell-bent on getting that bottom turret, and he's heading straight down to the bottom lane to try to get it again. I just don't think they can punish him. And now these global ultimates are coming online here pretty soon for Hanwha Life Esports. Kanavi's will be up way before this Dragon, but he may even try to use it to get a pick here in the jungle before that happens. Baron has also spawned. Don't quite have enough damage on Hanwha Life Esports' comp to take that one down this early, but can start to threaten a vision game around it as Hanwha do also finally secure that bottom turret.
Oh, Zeka might be in a little bit of trouble here as the Miasma does go down. The Bros trying to collapse to get on top of this Rise. He's put into the Cataclysm, forced to flash as the Grand Starfall does come on through. That is going to buy the space to allow Zeka to escape. But once again, that ultimate is on cooldown. HLE just going to utilize that, though, to take this inner turret with absolutely zero response from the Bros.
That Zeka gets out there. The Petrifying Gaze completely missed, if I'm not mistaken. He just completely whiffed it, and Zeka's like, cool, I'm out of here.
Well, the Realm Warp, he is definitely out of there.
And so they get away completely without any real cost. I mean, sure, Zeka's down his flash, but 7,000 gold ahead. He's ready to get in their faces and kill them. I don't think he's really going to be threatened unless he's in a side like that. And even when they found him in a side like that, he still gets away. And that's a bit of a yikes for Bro, because that was a cool opportunity that just really shouldn't have even necessarily happened. They were trying to capitalize on a Rise out of position and couldn't even get that.
Yeah. All right, well, the Bros doing their very best to try and find some sort of positive here in this game and really struggling to do so. We're moving up towards a 7,000 gold advantage.
Loki, he's about to get one more level.
Hey, true.
One full XP bar.
And he did quite recently transform his Seraph. So he does have that 2-item spike that is almost actually the full 2 items, which is very, very cool. Unfortunately for him, Zeka does already have those items as well and is almost actualizing, which is scary, to say the least.
Yeah.
And it feels like HLE just kind of everywhere on the map. Right now it is a Dragon being taken here by HLE. Level 16 for Zeus is very scary, and Kanavi will be locking that one down. So, Cloud number 1 going their way. Thankfully for the Bros, they did manage to take Drake #1, and so therefore the Soul is a little further than it otherwise would be. Next one going to be Soul Point here for HLE if they are able to lock down the next Drake. But I'm just a little bit worried because the insurance policy just isn't quite there. You know, you were talking about it already, like Teddy known as being that fountain lazy, you know, the guy that had the most CS that any man has ever put together in a single game ever.
Imagine if the fountain laser could only like zap for 4 intervals and then had to reload.
Yeah, I didn't see that in the patch notes, but we do have another Tempered Fate coming on through. Decent double knock up there as Namgung looks for the pop blossom, but only lands it onto 2, and the damage is just gigantic here from HLE. It is still Loki able to get something done though, as Zeus is able to finish off this Nico. The curtains have been called, but for whom is the question? Zeus not going to get poisoned this time around. The miasma goes down, but there's not really too much here, and Zeus just wants to kill Teddy, and he'll be able to do it. He might pay for it with his life, as casting is at least able to take down his opposite number, but not before he just eradicates almost the entirety of the Bros.
This is once again Bro trying to set up their ultimates, trying to look for a scrap here, but they are just simply too far behind. Watch how this starts, because Gideon looks, you know, air quotes like he's caught here, but he actually instantly engages, and Loki's in position to follow up. So initially, this looks like, okay, there's kind of something in this for Bro if this is a closer game state. And then Teddy is just trying to help peel for his teammates getting out after they realize, okay, there just really isn't anything here. Looks for the curtain call to help get his teammates out. Doesn't hit this one onto Zeus, and then Zeus is like, all right, with Realm Warp coming, this is going to be an easy cleanup. Goes forward onto Teddy, takes him out here, and the rest of his teammates collapse in. And even though he eventually dies, slowly and painfully there, the damage had already been done.
Yeah, and he almost avoided the damage from that Petrifying Gaze as well. And if he had have been able to move that little bit further north, then it could have been even worse for the Bros. They wouldn't have even been able to take him down, and it would have just been a disaster. It's still a disaster, but it could have been worse, and that is almost worse to say. 9,000 gold is the lead we're approaching here for HLE as we crest the 24-minute mark.
Namgung is just trying to activate the Merc Tread shield. He's like, all right, well, I got something.
Yeah, there you go.
It's on cooldown.
That's what we're going to have to be looking for here in this particular game. Loki's
got some extra mana.
Hey, there you go. Sapphire Crystal. Very cool. I wonder if it's a real one.
It's rare to see that item, you know, in an inventory on a graphic.
How expensive are sapphires? I don't know. Oftentimes it's like it's diamonds or bust, isn't it? The other ones are all like not crazy. I don't really know much about the gem prices. Baron is just down to 50% basically as they look at it. It is just gone. There is nothing that the Bros can do about it. And now HLE just going to look to utilize it to push down more of these turrets. Namgung is out of there. Not a whole lot of opportunity, but there is Gideon going in. Looks for Zeus, who does take a fair bit of damage. The Ghoulie Wall not doing too much of anything at all as the Aegis going to be keeping Kanavi alive. Zeus looking a little worse for wear, though, as now the Pop Blossom comes in. It lands only onto Zeka, and it looks like he didn't even really notice. He just takes down Namgung. Now Delight is going forward, but is going to have to back away. The Grand Starfall goes in. The Ghoulie Wall is down. And can they get rid of Kanavi? That's the question. The answer is yes, as Loki's taken out as well, and Gumyushi taking matters into his own hands. Teddy has the barrier, though. That is going to keep him alive for the moment. The Morning Mist coming on forward there as Gumyushi is going to get taken down, and Teddy gets his revenge. I just don't think it's going to be enough to be able to win them the game.
It might defend this Baron wave.
There we go.
That's step one. But man, that's the Kanavi I know. Zeus gets caught again.
Right, here we go. The Yorick and the Jin synergy is not quite working as the Meep slaps are flying forward. Delight, unfortunately, just doesn't really do a whole lot of damage. So he is just going to have to get himself out of there. And it is a successful defense by the Bros.
Yeah, it was Zeko who got caught there, not Zeus. Of course, I misspoke. But the setup is actually like, watch this. This is actually really cool how Bro play this. If this is an even game state, I think they clean up on this. Like, Gideon goes in initially. Obviously, this is a little bit silly, but it gets a lot of damage to Zeus done. So he doesn't have his Cataclysm anymore, but they can kite back because they have a Jin. And the way they slow play this is actually pretty beautiful. And the Hana Life Esports kind of end up getting caught one by one, like dismantled and picked apart as Delight also goes in, eats a bunch of damage, and then this is the Kanavi moment where it's like, this is the Kanavi I know, just goes straight into the Yorick Ghoulie Wall. And he's so far ahead that he still gets the damage done. It's still worth it here, but a little bit messy, a little bit scrappy as Teddy just kind of breaks Guma's ankles on this one. Not sure about this, but the game state is the way it is. You know,
I've had those Ezreal games, you know, where like, I just need to hit a Q and he's dead. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out.
Skuma's first death of the game.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, I mean, there's still 10,000 gold ahead. It doesn't matter at all. As Loki is up towards the top side of the map, just seeing whether he can get any sort of consolation prize, is going to be utilizing the Tempered Fate as an Ohm Wrecker for a moment. Bit of a shout out, as doesn't really do too much. Still, Zeka is just splitting in this mid lane, able to take down this inhibitor at a whim if he would like to, and the rest
Loki's
of HLE.
still farming.
Yeah, he is. And I mean, he might be able to get some bounty gold from that turret. It's just unfortunately going to be maybe in exchange
for the
Nexus.
Hold the Nexus, hold it a little bit longer. I'm going to get this money. I'm going to get you guys some cash.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it's going to be Teddy to complete an Infinity Edge. Maybe he's going to be able to do it.
Okay, stops the back. He stops the back. He's going to get that money.
Yeah, we need that money. We need that bounty money. And HLE, they're going, we canceled the back. Zeus is not going to be stopping this Cassiopeia from getting that bounty money. There it is.
Skuma's got this wave under control.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so Soul Point going to be picked up here by HLE. And we do have 2 inhibitors down on Hanjin Bri on the side of the Rift.
Overreact.
Okay.
Or say there's a chance or have any broptimism.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't.
But it kind of feels like the game is...
Wait, are you saying that you're not going to do those things and you're just going to now transition into doing those things?
I'm just saying, like, the game feels like maybe Hanwha could mess this up. Like, if they really make 7 more mistakes in a row.
I was expecting you to say winnable, and I'm like, you know what? I don't agree.
No, losable. Like, I'm not saying it's losable.
Okay, I see it.
If the game continues at this trend, you know, maybe
it may not necessarily be winnable on Bro's side, but it possibly could be losable on HLE's side.
We have seen some big throws this year already.
Losability has certainly been figured out. That is very, very true.
I give him like a 0.2% chance of losing.
Oh, man. That is not good odds. All right, Grand Starfall is going to come on forward here as the inhibitor should be taken relatively quickly. Kanavi kept alive here by Delight. That was a cute little play there as he looks to continue moving forward. He's got a G8, so he has an extra life. Anyway, as the curtain's being called here by Teddy, and Kanavi's like, well, I'll just stand here and it'll be okay. It is going to stop him from moving ever closer to the rest of his teammates, but the curtains will have to come down once again. And HLE, now with a fully destroyed base of the Bros to play with, they're just looking for some Nexus turrets to finish off this game. The siege is actually quite decent here from HLE as well, even though they don't necessarily have a true frontline. They do have a lot of poke, especially with Zeus here and Gumayushi, so they can just keep firing things forward.
The Super
Bros,
Minions,
they have to do something.
Super Minions are coming in, double here in the bottom lane, and once those start syncing up, Bro just cannot leave the base. Defending the base itself is a challenge.
Wait a second. I remember this.
Yeah, I mean, Teddy, hey, you know, he's starting... I was going to mention it.
He's not playing Sivir this time.
Got
He's playing Jhin. Half the time he's trying to kill these minions and he's reloading. He does have the IE though, like you say.
Actualizer is done for Loki.
Uh-huh. Actually a chance?
The problem for Hanwha Life, which is not even a problem, like what has caused this game to continue, let's just say, has been they haven't really fought as a 5-man unit together. They've been kind of trying to hard force in little pieces.
Gold graph has stagnated.
Small dent, yeah.
There you go. It's still gigantic. However, as the game goes, that 9,000 gold lead means less and less.
Yeah, when we get to 60 minutes in this game, we'll be like, oh, remember at 30 minutes when they had a huge lead?
Yeah.
That'll be what we're talking about.
That's exactly what we're going to be talking about, Wolf. We're not going to be talking about Game 2. We're not going to be in a break. It's not going to be the space. No. It's 60 minutes, 30 minutes from now, 29 minutes from now. We're still going to be in the game.
I look forward to the 60 minutes interview with Loki.
Exactly.
How did you do it? What was the comeback angle? I heard you were farming for 30 minutes.
Is it anything to do with having cool hair? Did that help you? As the Grand Starfall comes on in, as Teddy will be able to hold Kanavi in position, as does Loki with that miasma. And so Kanavi just going to have to walk away. Is going to be able to do so successfully, though, as the Tempered Fate is going to block a bullet or two.
I see the numbers on the screen. They say Hanwha is winning this game. I see the champions, and I'm a little bit less convinced, but the minions, I think, may just finish the job, Atlas.
Yeah, those teammates are the ones doing a whole bunch of work here, as Gideon going to have to get the heck out of dodge. Zeka now possibly in trouble, but Teddy in more of it, is he's just going to get executed here by the Rise. Kanavi dives forward once more, and he's still got that GA. He's going to utilize it as Namgung does go down, but now the Nexus is bare, and HLE will discontinue playing with their food and win game 1 of the first series of LCK 2026.
Very dominant early mid, and then they just took over the entire map. There were some aggressive angles that were, I mean, look, we talked about all the CC. There is so much CC. There's so many ways to pick off a single target who is ulting into a location where you know he's going to land, i.e. Kanavi in this game. So it looked kind of playable. It looked like, oh, maybe they could fight back, but obviously we knew that once those 3 inhibitors were down, there was literally no way for Hanwha to mess it up, and despite some heroics and some theatrics there at the end, the minions eventually start hitting the Nexus, so Hanwha couldn't have fun anymore.
Yeah.
And Hanjin do end up losing game 1. There were some moments in the late game for team fighting where I was like, what if Teddy was on a real carry? You know, there were some moments where I was like, what if Loki had agency in this game?
Yeah, as soon as Jin is locked in, I'm thinking about that every moment of the game. Thankfully, it's Fearless, baby. We're not going to see Jin ever again in this series. We might see it in the next one, but hopefully they were watching this one, and the telecom war is not tainted
on one
by
hand,
Jin.
Guma's really good at Jin. He can't play that for the rest of the series. So
there you go.
There's a small win.
That's something. Yeah, Hanjin and Brion are going to need more than something in order to come back in this series. However, last time these two teams met, the Bros took a game. We'll have to see whether they can do that again, though, as we go to a short break, ladies and gentlemen. When we get back, it is going to be game number 2, but before that, the Space is going to break down that game number 1 and the return to form, maybe, of HLE. We'll see you after.
칭노플 아나부터 전개 좋아 잘부터 다시 포킹 미니언이랑 빠졌다 오케이 잘 잡아봐 진 한번 올릴게 바텀 내가 스매트 해볼게 넓게 니코 풀공 조심 나 미칼 없다 얘네 앞으로 질러야 돼 포킹하자 한테 가이리야 빨리지 마 파워 치면 끝나고 미니언 너무 많은데? 말 안 된다.
Do you think Azir and Orianna will still be banned?
Yeah.
But picks like the Talia could be one that you might want to be looking for. Pantheon also being gone here permanently does change the shape of the drafts a little bit.
Yep. The Orianna, like you were talking about, still definitely going to be a permaban. I imagine that the Rumble and Azir should also join her. We'll see whether there is going to be a little bit more flexibility after the Karma is also just banned away. Might be a thing. But let's just see where the Bros are going with their second one. It will just be the Rumble tax being paid.
So Rumble gone, and they likely have to ban Azir in this final spot. We'll see what Hanwha Life Esports decide to do. But I suppose Loki could first pick it here. Talia won't have a Pantheon if Zeka wanted to play that. And there's a lot of other picks that we could see pushed forward. Mid might just not get picked up early, depending on what these bans end up being. Caitlyn consistently banned.
Yeah, against Teddy. Kind of interesting one, given the fact that Gumayushi was a bit of a Caitlyn aficionado himself. But not going to be seeing it from either of these players, at least in games 1 or 2. Might be the only amount of games we're going to get, unless that bro tax does get in. You know, that's very important.
Did they try to angle for the Azir first pick? They banned Karma, so it does seem that that is likely what they are looking for here. And now this might just be banned away from Hanwha Life Esports. And then what does that mean? Okay, going to ban Poppy instead. So they have an answer prepared if that is going to come out. It's not that Azir is giga broken in terms of his buffs, but it puts him back to a really relevant state. And he's just Azir. Like, his kit is still the same. He does too many things. And so it's not a shock to see this one locked away.
Yep, I imagine not wanting to leave it for Zeka. The problem is, now you can just get Akali.
Akali, Yone, if you wanted to play that type of draft, you can play Talia.
Wait, can Zeka play those?
Or you just go Ashe Seraphine and say it doesn't even matter what we get in the mid lane.
Or just lock in a Xin Zhao as well and just say,
you don't have to lock the Seraphine
here. We can lock Seraphine later if we would like to, unless the pros decide to take it away.
Xin Zhao is definitely the top tier jungler that is available and safe to pick in any scenario in these drafts right now. What's getting you going to do? Pick Trundle? Try to play Trundle Azir into this? He might, but...
What about Kha'Zix? You know, that was a thing.
Yeah.
Played into Xin that one time.
Yeah, that one time in that one finals.
Yeah.
Canyon, good job. He is just going to lock the Trundle.
He is going to play the Trundle into it. There you go.
I mean, what else is he going to do? He could play Lee Sin and hope they can get to Ashe somehow. As they are going to play a Renekton into Ashe Seraphine, which is always a challenge, always a tough time, always an unfun time, always a, I hope I don't get rooted or arrowed or slowed.
Hey, you've got
or
Slice. You can slice out of the way, Wolf. It'll be okay.
And then Dice, but there's too many things.
Also, he's a top laner. Like he's going to see the bottom lane champions ever in this game. It's fine.
Fair. I mean, it's a pretty safe blind pick here. They can protect it now in the second phase.
Yep. It's going to need some solo lane bans here out of the bros. And I think Hanjin Brion are actually in a decent spot because now they can protect this Azir pick a little bit more. I think we are going to see something like an Akali going to be banned away here just because Zeka is pretty good at that champ.
It could also ban Gnar and give this Renekton a pretty safe and free time.
Yeah,
in the top lane.
It's kind of a pick your poison, right? Maybe
Which solo lane do you want to protect?
And Akali, and then just say like, well, you can play Yone if you'd like to, you can play Kennen if you like to, but we're going to get rid of the things we really don't want to see. Might be one of those options, but Akali was obviously going to be taken away.
Yeah, Akali is quite strong right now, and it is taken away. Makes a lot of sense. The Nautilus was removed, as winning the Ashe Seraphine lane is difficult unless you get that, you know, crazy engage, like kind of all-in angle with a bottom lane, which could be done by a Lulu and Yunara lane. Could have been done by some sort of Nautilus setup, but both of those tools are now removed. So,
Wolf, are you ready for Teddy Namgum, Zeri Yumi?
Don't say it.
I said it. I'm not even scared, okay? Kennen going to be the decision here, as of course it is Zeus, so getting rid of the Kennen does make some sense. His Gnar is also
I think
really good.
Gnar works fine. I think Scion works fine. You know, anything that can extend the Seraphine ultimate is going to feel fantastic here. You front to back with this Ashe, you pop off. Guma got MVP of the World's Finals with an amazing performance on this pick.
Yeah.
Just a few months ago. This draft here for Hanwha Life Esports is completely open-ended. You could do anything. Well, maybe not this.
Well, they're gonna do that instead. Okay, so there is a Ziggs. Mel gonna be locked in.
What? Bottom lane.
Okay. That is a different bottom lane that I was expecting. We were seeing a lot of Mel in first stand, largely used in the mid lane. Haven't necessarily seen it as a bottom lane pick, but I believe she was more popular in bottom lane elsewhere, outside of the LCK, when she debuted. So this is a little bit of fun out of Hanjin Brion. I don't know whether it's good, but it is fun, as we've now got Zeus considering playing a Nivea top, but it's probably just going to be Gnar. And there it is. Zeka taking a leaf out of APA's book with a bit of the Ziggs mid. Kind of fun.
It is very fun. It is very much able to outrange Azir, and that's why it's picked here. Similarly to how we'd in the past sometimes see like Varus mid into Azir, or Faker occasionally is like pressing his X key and locking in Xerath in the mid lane into Azir. We've seen that as well. But
I mean, you're talking about like 2013 to 2015, Wolf. I absolutely love it. However, that's a long time ago.
I mean, the Ziggs in this draft kind of works because
I know it's a perfect reference.
They cannot really reach him. The Pyke. Good luck with that one. The Pyke and Mel lane in the bottom lane is quite interesting because the Mel will get the bottom lane role quest and will actually farm an incredible amount of money moving into the mid game, so actually can hit 3 items really quickly.
Yeah.
As well as the fact that she's going to do decently in the lane itself. Obviously, early on will struggle, but will eventually start to be able to handle and clear those waves. What the Ashe Seraphine is doing, and just has a lot of extra follow-up burst damage. I just don't think this draft gets off the ground, unfortunately, for the side of Hanjin. Especially this Renekton pick is going to really just be a handbag, with kind of ragdoll physics in this one.
I mean, it all kind of depends on how this game starts off, but I at least enjoy that they've cooked a little, right? It's a bit of a fun draft. It could theoretically work, and this time, Teddy could certainly carry. Let's get into the Rift here for game number 2. All right, the pro fans trying to work out the Hanjin Breon call. So far, the cadence hasn't been quite sorted out. However, we are getting there slowly but surely. Gideon unable to quite get the reset to work out as quickly as he would like, and that ward is going to stay alive. But they already did get information that he was starting on his top side.
He got his +5,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the main thing. Okay, casting and Zeus still, starting things off. Obviously, if you do get up into melee range, the Renekton can figure some things out.
Here's the thing about the Renekton, right? Like, you picked Renekton early in this draft, so this is the issue I have with it. You picked it early in the draft. You know you're playing into Ashe, so you also know you're playing into Ashe Seraphine.
Yes.
We knew this. And they didn't ban the Gnar because they protected Loki instead. Ended up playing into Ziggs anyways. So now you're having a tough top lane matchup. This Mel pick doesn't necessarily solve what's going down here in the bottom lane, especially if you don't hit your hooks.
Yeah, Namgung is just going to get...
Almost deaded?
Almost deaded, yeah. That's what I was looking for. Thank you for the help there, Wolf, as they do crash this wave in. Thankfully, does get a bunch of his health back when he goes out of vision, and so therefore is going to drink the potion and regen a bunch of that health.
Yeah, they love those underwater champions in the gray health, don't they?
Yeah, they really do. The Bilgewater lets just have gray health bars.
Maybe a Fizz rework in the future.
There we go. I mean, I think Fizz is annoying enough.
Imagine when he goes untargetable, he just gets half his health back.
Yeah, it's a really great way. It'd be a very playful trickster, absolutely. That's all right. Casting and Zeus here hanging out towards his top side of the map still, as all the bomb comes back. And Loki down to 200 health on this Azir.
Imagine picking up a newspaper and like the front page just says, "Don't read it, it's all bad." That's kind of like what bro fans are reading right now. They're like, they took a little break after game 1, went to the store. They're like, surely they'll go to 3, so I'm going to go get some snacks. And then they come and check in. What's going on in game 2? Let me take a look at that draft. Let me take a look at that early game. And they see Loki pushed out a lane, Ashe Seraphine crushing the bottom lane, and Renekton's playing in an R, and it's like...
Hang on a second. Namgung is about to walk over a ward.
A bit of a skirmish for Scuttle again?
Yeah, Gideon going to be able to grab that one, as Delight looking for that beat drop, and not able to quite lock down Namgung, but does get him out of there. As now Gideon looking to make his way towards Zeka, who is completely out of mana.
Satchel is available, but he doesn't have the mana to use it, just flashes.
Ooh, double Scuttle here for the Trundle after getting a flash out of the mid laner. This is a pretty good start here for the Bro Jungler.
Yeah, it's a really good start for the Trundle that will somehow have to run into Ziggs Ashe Seraphine
Wolf,
later on.
Stop it! Done with your pessimism.
I'm sorry, I know it's early on in the season and we can't be starting like this, but...
All right, okay, there's the combo. His first blood over to Namgung. Take that, Wolf, you negative Nancy!
All right. That's a real good thing, actually. That's not the fake good thing of the double scuttle. Actual real solid advantage that could translate into large win conditions. This could also be something maybe.
Yeah, Casting going to walk over towards Kanavi, who does get the knock up. There is the kennel going down as Zeus looks for the wallop. Will connect it there on the Gideon, who's going to have to flash to get himself out of here. But the flash immediate follow, and Zeus going to lock down the kill under the Trundle. That 2v2 did not feel very fair at all, as Kanavi looking for even more.
If Kanavi told Zeus, I got this 1v2, bro, just stay where you are, it would have felt okay. But instead it was not.
Okay, well, Namgung looking for an angle here. Does find the stun onto the Xin Zhao. He looks to just try and lock down the camp because I think he knew that he was dead. As the Seraphine moves up as well, that is a kill. It's the bros in the lead as far as gold, kills. I mean, it's working kind of.
Yeah. Don't look at this. Don't look at that. But it's,
there we go. See, replay.
Yes,
Let's do that.
So, look, this is a great hook. Teddy gets the follow-up instantly. This is part of why this lane is a thing in the first place, is you can easily set up the route afterwards. Here in the 2v1, that's all fine and good. The problem is that there's an R on the other side. Cassidy only has one empowered ability, so he's like, I use my W. He's like, I'm out of here, by the way. I can't get an empowered Q to get the health back, so you're just on your own. Kanavi follow flashes here. Then Kanavi does a Kanavi move in staying. And because Namgung is a scholar of the LPL, he's like, I bet he's on here. Does come over here, verifies it. And this is kind of a Keria-esque move, right? Like, this is Keria-esque in terms of getting the early hook right, getting the kill bottom side, roaming, making a play top side, punishing an overextension. That's the kind of Pyke play you want to see.
And it was also like, normally, I think that Casting would have just gone home. They would have just tried to go for a reset, and Kanavi would have got away with that. But the fact that the bros were like, no. Kanavi sticks around. He wants to take even more from this, and they punish him for it. I think that this is the hubris that Kanavi was punished for in the LCK Cup as well. It's a large reason why HLE did struggle down there. So I'm looking forward to seeing whether the bros are going to be able to carry this one through, as now we're looking for even more. There's the Emperor's Divide onto Kanavi like we were talking about before, but the Mega Inferno Bomb goes down. Gideon gonna have to keep himself alive. Doesn't have the ultimate running just yet. Namgung finds another one. The Bone Skewer is gonna take down Kanavi again. 0-2 for the Xin Zhao, and 1-0-2 for Namgung. 100% kill contribution. This guy's Pyke is kind of popping off.
We found Namgung's champion. We found it. Yeah. All right, he looks really good on this one, but he didn't have enough damage to get that initial kill. And I'm going to rotate over as Teddy's going to dodge the arrow.
Flash out of the way. Did want to have that rebuttal available for that, but used it on a volley instead, as Namgung going to have to get out of there and will be able to do so. But now, without flash on Teddy, could be a killable Mel in that bottom side, as Gideon going to find Kanavi moving towards the river once again. And when a Trundle is just bigger than you, it's really hard to exist as a jungler. Zeka going to be moving on over, but Gideon still gets the chomp, and down goes the Xin. That's a solo bolo for the bro jungler.
Gideon is just eating him for lunch, and I was really talking about how this Trundle is going to struggle to do things later on, because you're playing into the Ashe, the Seraphine, etc., Satchel Charge, but he's doing it before team fights. He's doing it before 5v5s. And we will see in this fight here again, they look for this right onto Gideon. He's like, okay, well, I'm doomed. I'm going to have to try to look for the bomb. Goes back in after the wind becomes lightning. But they cannot actually burst him down. Then Namgung shows up, hits this hook.
Beautifully played.
Now, I did the research, I did the check. Namgung has a 100% win rate on this champion across his career. He has never lost a game. He is also playing his second game of his career.
Do not give me the sample size, Wolf! No!
But, look, Kanavi gets chomped here. Gideon has level 6. Gets the advantage because he's able to out-farm. He is controlling this jungle matchup incredibly well. The tempo he has. Now, Namgung again.
Oh my, it's a reel. He's just styling on them. Gumayushi, not a whole lot of opportunity. Does have to flash to get himself out of the way, but use the Ghost as well. The bros just fully taking control here in this game.
Yeah, Guma's like, I used to play alongside a Pyke like that. I don't think I was playing against one today. And, oof, good start here for the bros. Again, it's a small lead, but they need this tempo badly to make this comp work.
They really do. I think that this composition has more legs than what they had in game number 1, though, right? As the arrow is, oh my goodness, just barely not going to connect. and the bros are able to walk out of the way. Does get a bit of information. It's kind of like a very expensive hawk shot.
True.
That they threw through there. There were minions in the mid lane though, so I guess they could see them anyway. So it's not exactly working. Gumayusi is going to take a bit of damage here from Teddy. Does have that overwhelmingness available. Throws it down there as they get the heal out.
Yeah, Namgung's here, so I think that's the right call. He does not have ultimate though, but still better safe than sorry to drop that heal.
Yep. Still going to annoy Delight there as he lands another bone.
It's still a win, right? Even if they don't get the kill, they're just shoving another wave in, getting more plate gold to Teddy. But like I said, once he gets into the mid lane and once his quest is complete, he is going to farm up a Storm. They're also going to turn this into first Drake. And bro, they get the Infernal Dragon, so a great Elemental Dragon to start. Everything is coming up bro-sided here, and I actually had a conversation with Degon about this just maybe it was yesterday or 2 days ago about how we were debating about whether Hanwha Life Esports, like, should we buy the stocks now or sell, you know, continue to say, like, we're not sure. I said my biggest concern is playstyles are really difficult to change, and Kanavi has spent the better part of a decade in the LPL, and so far in this game, I think it's come back to bite him a little bit, and, you know, this is one of those games where if you had just played a little bit safer, a little bit more, the game state looks completely different, right? And Hanwha Life Esports are definitely in a comp that can come back. Like, this is not a lost game by any means. It's getting in once again with the gank.
Yep. Let's see whether Namgung can find it. Finds the double snare as Teddy also able to layer it in. But Namgung this time is going to get punished as Kanavi was lying in wait. And HLE are going to be able to win out in the skirmish on the bottom side. Now looking to push further forward as Teddy could be in a bunch of trouble. The flash over from Kanavi as he gets the audacious charge in. And the arrow will connect. The encore from downtown and Teddy will be taken out. It's Kanavi that grabs that kill as Loki. I just do not think that this is going to be your time to shine, my friend, and he agrees as he backs away. Now Gideon tries to put them in the kennel, exactly right. Is now casting, flashing onto Zeus. Let's see whether he can actually win the fight as he's looking for the opportunity. Dominus is down, and he's closed the gap onto this mini-nah. But now he doesn't have a lot of gap close remaining, and the Dominus not going to be enough to kill this mini-nah here in the top lane. So the bros,
flash either.
Yeah, trying to find some opportunities here, but HLE now with a gold advantage.
It would have been really tough for him to slice there onto Zeus and then get another empowered W when it came back. As Namgung's going to go for another pass here.
Oh dear. I think Kanavi is still, never mind, maybe he's actually gone back. No, never mind. He has remained in the brush, so don't go for it.
Yeah, Namgung was very aware that, like, of course Kanavi will still be on Krugs. Maybe he should have been aware that, of course, he'll be looking in this brush.
Yeah.
He knows parts of Kanavi, but not all. It's Titanic gear for Kanavi as well as his first item.
That is
It's a unique choice.
Usual. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
He's going to be missing his Sundered Sky, potentially in some upcoming scraps.
Let's have a look at this one more time. Is Kanavi just perfect position?
Yeah, bro, like me, are unaware when I got super hyped for the double stun here from Namgung that Kanavi is in fact here. Not only is he here, but he's closer than their jungler. And then Teddy has already used his rebuttal, so he cannot actually stop the arrow, and the follow-up encore is brilliant.
Yep. And then Loki, nothing he can really do, but at least does not die for it. So now the gold is, I mean, it's not a massive number or anything like that. The bros still with an opportunity, but HLE taking back control. Gideon going to be helping out casting here. He just gets slammed into this turret and will just be taken out. Zeka with the big old bomb is going to be able to take him down. Now Namgung looking to try and get in here and support Gideon.
They got to buy time for Loki to get here.
Yeah, decent little bone skewer to buy a little bit of space, but the bouncing bombs are flying forward and Namgung has no health bar to speak of. Gideon, the same situation here as it looks like Zeka has come online. Loki, very, very late to this one as Kanavi, I think he's dead. Emperor's Divide is going to sweep him up, but now that's not going to be available for protecting this turret, which is likely to go down. Teddy is liberal with his use of the rebuttal.
Yeah,
I get a little bit anxious
concerned about that. Yeah, I had the same feeling. I was like, that's not what you want to. That's not what you want to block in this scenario. He pressed his buttons. Look, your Gideon's coming up. And so is Namgung, but you know you're just a sitting duck here. You don't have flash because you looked for the flash play earlier on the Zeus and didn't get anything out of it. And then here Namgung is like, come on Loki, we can play this, but realistically they cannot in fact play this. And now, you know, it's the two sides of Kanavi, right? The over-aggression sometimes comes back to bite you, but sometimes gets you a huge edge. In this situation, he was kind of up a creek without a paddle. Loki is finally able to get something from that rotation, but all the while, Guma was free-farming in the bottom lane. And Hanwha Life Esports have basically tripled their small lead now into 2,000. And Zeka's going to be able to satchel this turret. A lead for the Bros feels like now it might have just been very short-lived.
At least we got to talk about it, though.
Yeah.
You know, that's what feels fantastic, having an opportunity to sing some praises. Now, we're going to go back to what we were talking about kind of in the majority of game number 1, which is the uphill battle that the Bros find themselves in. Zeus does now have his Trinity Force complete. Casting still looking for item number 1 himself. As Gumayusi parked in this mid lane. And I think... yeah, I'm now a little bit more worried for what the Bros are going to be able to do. However, if these Qs keep landing, Teddy's going to be having a better time.
I would love to, you know, just win a team fight. Just one team fight. You know, I mean, I know that sounds very basic, but this Mel can explode in the mid game if that happens. But they just don't have great tools from behind, and they held onto the tempo for a while. And it has certainly shifted to the other side now as Loki even gets satcheled here.
Yeah, and Kanavi looking for an angle here towards Namgung. And I just, the Pyke will die to like a second and third auto attack.
They could consider a dive here for sure. Loki may have to just, I mean, best of luck.
Yeah, let's see whether Loki can survive this one as they do get the Bone Skewer, and Zeka could be in trouble. There's the Flash Emperor's Divide as Loki is just dead. And Zeka also managed to kill the Pyke at the same time. Mega Inferno Bomb goes down, and Zeka is becoming a gigantic problem here in this game. Delight is dead, so there's at least that, but still.
Another wave, Gideon has to try to run away.
Yeah, Kanavi looking for that 3-talon strike. Will be able to get the slow from the Wind Becomes Lightning, and there it is, the last shot. Gumayusi should be able to help lock this one down. He is gifted that kill as Teddy is just going to try and grab some scraps here in this mid lane. Casting is getting punished by Zeus on the top side, and once again, just kind of looks like HLE are winning everywhere.
They really are. I mean, it was a heroic play there from Loki, looking for the punish, but it's just not enough, unfortunately. And Teddy didn't have TP, he does now. If he had TP and he TPs in, instead of backing here, then it's a different story. He decides, okay, I can't help out, at least I'm going to push since Zeka's down here. Fantastic two-man Emperor's Divide. The pillar placed as well. And Gideon gets one kill back here. And he does not touch the light, so the kill actually goes over to Loki, which is exactly what they want. But unfortunately for him, he just cannot get out slowed. Kanavi will take his life with the help of Gumayusi. 400 more gold in his pockets.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Because
I just don't
Teddy was the only one with a gold advantage. Still does have a slight one, but it's really not feeling like much of anything at all. As the Bros might be able to get the second Drake.
If
that's
it's
something.
Hextech Soul, you know, you're feeling pretty good about the meaning of the 2 Drake lead, the double dragon that they have picked up here. And for Zeka, you're feeling pretty good about the fact that even though you didn't have flash, no one is diving you, and you will get away with this back for free. Picks up Shadow Flame. Oh, Shadow Flame at 16.5 minutes on the Ziggs. He is doing boom boom damage, and he does it very quickly and very burstily.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I'm pretty impressed by Zeka's Ziggs so far. He's known as a little bit more of the mastery player. Champion pull is something that we talk about with this guy quite a lot. But looking really good on a pick that isn't necessarily in his wheelhouse.
Agree. That's a really good point you bring up. I was kind of skeptical of it, although the rest of the draft made me feel like it wouldn't matter, but he's kind of popping off, Atlas, and so that's a good thing.
Having a good time, as Namgung is not going to quite find the Bone Skewer, and also just has to dash his way out of there.
We've gotten to the point of the game where Hanwha Life Esports have control, Kanavi has free reign, and they're going to take this turret out, and you see Hanjin Breon just cowering, you know, on their side of the map, trying to farm. And that is a problem for how this draft needs to work. It needed to be ahead. It needed to have tempo advantage. It needed to be able to set the pace of fights and not try to avoid all of the CC. It just doesn't look like that's ever going to happen as Kanavi goes in.
Yep, there's the knock-up as, okay, Teddy does find an angle for the rebuttal. Yonko does go wide as now Gideon thinks that this may be an opportunity casting on a flank angle, but doesn't really want to go in alone, and the rest of the Bros are a little bit too far behind. HLE looking to turn and take themselves down a Crocodile. They might be able to do so as Gideon goes in, leads with the subjugation and does put down the kennel, but they are not going to overcommit onto anything here, and Mega Inferno Bomb almost just kills Namgung outright. Yeah, that Shadow Flame's a problem, Wolf.
Yeah, it's a bit of a problem. This lead that he has is quite large. I think Bro played that well, but again, Hanwha Life Esports called it. They saw the flank. They were like, all right, let's turn on him and push away. If Teddy's given a little bit more time to layer some damage in, maybe Bro could have eventually chipped away, but it's the right call to leave there. And luckily for Namgung, he does escape with his life, but Flash now on cooldown. And Bro just have to keep farming. Yeah, Teddy is still the win con, which is kind of always the story with this squad, but there's just not a whole lot of turrets to farm behind, right? Which means objectives go for free. Your jungle starts going to Kanavi, and any LPL or LCK fan currently will tell you that's what he loves to do, is to take the enemy jungle, and he will take every opportunity to get in there, take your vision away, take your wolves away, take your blue, your red, your grump, your Krugs even.
Yeah,
so
all of your stuff is just going to be something that he's looking to take away. Is it going to be this next Drake? Well, we'll find out in 2.5 minutes. Baron going to be up in 1 minute's time. We were talking about Hextech Dragon, which would have been cool. It's an Ocean Soul. It's not exactly the most pivotal. However, still would help if the bros can get there, but the Double Dragon is feeling less impactful than it otherwise could be. These bouncing bombs also really hurting, as Casting just wondering what he's supposed to do here. As at least Namgung doesn't die immediately, but man, these bouncing bombs really do hurt. Teddy moving forward, but this inner turret is going to be in satchel range incredibly quickly. There it is, and down it goes. Now Kanavi goes in, looking for that opportunity as the Crocodile, I mean, blink and you'll miss it. Casting is just lying on the floor. You were talking about the handbag syndrome that this Renekton could be faced with, and that is indeed what is happening.
It's just like game one, where I'm watching Loki go well, farming over here. Sorry about what's happening on the other side, but I'm not going to TP in.
Yeah, just play safe bottom lane. Let's see whether they can do so as the flash forward from Kanavi once again. Flash out from Gideon. We'll be able to keep him alive, but this is an inhibitor turret being sieged at 20 minutes, and Zeus is on the other one in the mid lane. Loki, come home! Come home, please!
Doesn't have his satchel. Turret's going to survive, but...
All right, I mean, that's something.
They almost get the turret, I suppose. In that last pick onto Casting, the only thing they could have done is, like, Teddy presses rebuttal, but, you know, he's not in range, so it didn't do anything. What is he supposed to do, flash in front of Casting and look for the rebuttal on the encore?
Yeah! That would have been crazy. And then dash cannon out?
Yeah, he also went for the Rocket Belt, which I was going to mention, which, I mean, Rocket Belt has really good stats in general, so it's not the worst buy on a mage pick like this, but it is quite unusual.
I mean, we've seen just... I think if you're a mage player that likes having it, you can build it and get away with it, right? I think it's one of those type situations.
What if you're just an 80 carry player who doesn't play mages, who's forced into the awesome dude in this situation?
I mean, Teddy was always kind of okay at it.
He liked Gale Force, you know?
Yeah,
same thing,
there you
basically,
go.
right?
Pretty much the same item. As Casting looking for another flank opportunity. Might be able to get in there. Does have the Dominus as the arrow will connect onto Namgung, and he's just obliterated. There's the encore as well as Loki. He dashes out of the way of it. Gideon surviving for a very long time as the Mel is able to take down the Xin Zhao. And Casting gets in there. Slice and dicing and looking pretty cool here as the Ashe will be taken out. It's a triple for Zeka though, and he's still at full health. Casting trying to get on top of Zeus, who flashes out of the way. The Mega Inferno Bomb goes down as Teddy. Can he manage to get the execution? And he finds it. And now it's Teddy versus Zeka. The sidesteps are good. The Hextech Minefield doesn't quite land. And there is the Q. They are just going to back away, though, as Zeka says, okay. And they will escape as, man, that was a much better fight for the bros than I was expecting, and maybe it's not over as he finds the Q. Teddy wins it out, and that's a delayed ace.
Gives him the kick W. There he goes. All right, delayed ace. Dropping the 6.5 to 5,000 gold.
There you go. And we were saying Teddy has to carry. Well, now he's killed everyone on the enemy team.
The most hype thing about this fight is that Bro can pull this off from this deficit, right? And the biggest problem for Hanwha Esports is if they don't have Guma. And this flank from Casting is phenomenal because he gets on top of Guma. Guma gets deleted, right? Gets a lot of damage done, but once he's gone, Zeka is cooldown-based carry, so isn't able to do as much damage with his Ziggs as Teddy can, really, on this Mel, and they still have the threat of that Renekton. And even though Casting does go down here, Teddy is able to outplay this, has his ultimate, and then once Zeka decides to stick around here, Teddy finds him and gets him with the execute damage. So he does eventually go down. We'll speed this up and then show that. But Teddy is starting to get online. That's one of the other big things. Yes, there's still 5,000 gold behind, but this Mel just got a ton of money.
She did. Teddy is a very large deal. I believe had an needlessly large rod and a amp tomen. Okay, that's just a Shadow Flame.
They just bought a Shadow Flame outright.
And another needlessly large rod. It already didn't need to be that big, and he just got another one. Okay.
He's 2,000 gold ahead of Gumayushi right now. Guma's got to, You know, he didn't go cleanse, obviously. He's got to be careful about those Renekton flanks as Kanavi and crew are going to start this Baron up. Very difficult for Bro to stop this.
I mean, there is a blast cone, so Gideon could possibly get on in there.
Let's see how much damage.
It's going to have to be a turn here for HLE as they are backing away.
Yeah, let's see how much.
Get the teleport out of casting.
Let's see how much damage maybe Teddy could look for here if they wanted to stay on the Baron as well. I was going to say, but they are just going to simply leave, which I think is the right call.
Yeah, so HLE got what they wanted, right? They wanted to get that teleport out. Now Zeus will have his backup and available earlier, so they should be able to play these side lanes pretty comfortably. Vision, pretty good here for HLE as well, as they do know what's going on as Gideon. Oh my goodness. I mean, Zeka just does a lot of work as the Loki immediately punished. That is not the shot he wanted to take.
Oh man, he's looking for the shuffle, and he gets interrupted by the arrow. Guma's looking at his teammates and saying, yeah, I did that on purpose.
Oh no.
I knew he was going in.
He was diving to catch it, you know? It's just not really what you want to see as Namgung does get some vision of this.
Teddy could layer a lot of damage in here.
Let's see whether they can make this one happen as Zeus does blow up the blast cone. Gideon has no flash, so he has to walk in if they want to take this, and the Bros have decided that they're not going to be able to win out, and they'll just let the Baron go. Mega Inferno Bomb almost kills Namgung, even though it only hits the edge. And the Rebel Baron power play already up to 800 gold. And man, it feels like the Bros are like, they're getting half a step forward and then they're pushed back 11 steps downhill.
I mean, this is just like so unlucky, right? Look at Guma's angle here. There's no way you could convince me he was trying to stop a shuffle.
And I think Loki saw it and then was trying to use the shuffle to get out of the way of it, but then hitbox.
I think he wanted to try to set up for a potential real engage angle there, and he just ends up getting interrupted, so can't do anything and dies, and Goma gets to laugh all the way to the bank because his angle was good before the shuffle as well, as you were saying, and now Hanwha Life Esports get a Baron off of that one.
And we have to remember, like, there is only one plate remaining in the bottom lane inhibitor turret. I mean, Gideon is looking for an angle towards Zeus here as Teddy is likely to be able to help take him down. Zeus is dead, but can they get more? That's the question. HLE have a lot of people in this top lane, and this inhibitor is not long for the world.
I think you just have to give this and try to get mid-turret, and you know that Hanwha Life Esports aren't going to be able to push through the Nexus turrets here. In fact, they're going to look for a TP to defend mid. Teddy just barely gets this before he gets out. Losing casting could lose you the game, though.
Yep, the Sundisk does go off, and now Kanavi is looking for casting, and he will just be taken out. The encore will be avoided. Good dash cannon to get out for Loki as the beat drop comes on through, but does not connect on to the Azir, so he will at least stay alive, but top laner for top laner, and inhibitor turret does go down as well. Teddy at least gets the Rabadons, so that's something, but I'm still putting this in the cons column for the Bros.
They don't lose the game right there, so
Nexus alive.
They're on soul point for an Ocean Soul, kind of technically a positive.
There you go. I know it's a stretch to get the cup to be half full, but it's almost there.
He has a 4th item death cap. He has a lot of ability power, and I think that if you can somehow kill Guma and Zeus, every fight is winnable. Good luck doing that.
Honestly, if you could kill all of HLE, probably winnable.
I think the problem is now that Zeus is so large, like even if you kill Guma, he's actually a better AD carry than Guma in this game. And he's building some MR here as well. He's going to end up having that wit's end, which makes it even more difficult for Teddy to carry into him. You have double AP with this Azir, so it's a great item choice.
Well, Kanavi possibly out of position here as there's the Crescent Guard pulled over the base gates as the arrow is going to go wide. Gets a flash though out of Teddy, and that is a huge deal. As now the mobility is low for this Mel. And we'll take another inhibitor.
Just like game one inhibitor at a time. Hanwha Life Esports are just picking Bro apart.
This time though, they have 0 dragons.
Yeah. And Teddy, he doesn't have flash, but he's got dash cannon, so
there you go.
He uses rocket belt to get out of any situation, surely. I mean, Loki, his last dash was into an arrow, but now he's got dash cannon to, have some additional mobility as well. It's already worked out once for him. Maybe they just survive a little bit longer. Teddy gets one more item.
Well, let's just see. Zeus down to 50%. They're looking for the last remaining inhibitor turret. And this is the problem. HLE just seem to be able to siege with impunity. It's just not a whole lot that the Bros can do about it. As there's a teleport angle. This is the Hail Mary as Gideon turns up as well. And they get their melee people into the backline, but HLE, they just regroup. Gideon gonna have to flash out of there. Now Casting losing his health bar very, very quickly as the shield comes in. Mega Inferno Bomb, and Casting's almost dead. The Comet almost killed him, as at least he's able to limp his way out of there, but that was the bro's shot, and unfortunately it missed.
Yeah, I guess maybe he didn't go Scorch, and his Scorch damage wasn't enough. That would have been the Scorch angle, Scorch Enjoyer there. But they're going to get this third and final inhibitor, it looks like here. Or they really want it. It's super low, but going to play a little bit more respectfully here. Wait for that next wave.
I think they should be able to find it, as inhibitor will go down. Now, Gideon has walked all the way around.
He's just trying to hold this wave so it's not fully stacked.
Yeah, Kanavi is just going to fight him, though. And I just don't think Gideon really wins it. Although he does have, I don't know, might be able to work. Okay, Loki, he finds the angle and takes down Zeka. He sacrifices himself, though, for it. And now it's Gumayusi's time to shine. Takes down 2 already. That's going to be a 3rd. And he's looking for even more as Teddy backing away towards his fountain. But Gumayusi has Nexus turrets in his eyes. And HLE, I think they're going to put an end to this series right here, right now, as the flash over the top as Teddy at least rebuts something, and we'll be able to stop that beat drop from coming through. And there goes Gumayusi for now. Can they actually hold on to this game? As Kanavi says, absolutely not. And he'll take down the Nexus and conclude this 2-0 for HLE.
I do think that draft was a major problem for Hyunjin in this series, but Teddy played valiantly in both games.
I would agree.
And, you know, Loki, it's still early. I don't want to judge one way or the other, but looked a little bit better. Like, I'll give him that. He looked much better than Roamer's debut earlier this year, so that's a good thing. Behind Life Esports, the super team is churning today, right? They are able to move the engine. They are able to make the pieces work, even if Kanavi still is sometimes too far, sometimes just far enough.
And the thing that I liked about it was that I felt HLE were able to right the ship, right? After there were some liberties taken in the earlier stages of the game, Kanavi then was able to be reined back in, or the rest of the team were able to be there to allow him to go crazy and then still have that backup available. I think that counter gank on the bottom side of the map was absolutely fantastic. Gumayusi having a really good game on his Ashe, of course, has been fantastic on this pick for a very long time. You give him access to skill shots and he will give you Ws.
I just, you know, I have to go back to the fact that they saw Ashe and they walked into it with Trundle and Renekton. And even though Teddy looked really good on the Mel and he seemed really comfortable on it, despite some weird rebuttals here and there, in terms of like layering the damage in, farming it out in mid, playing that part of the game. The thing is, if he had a real draft on the other side, maybe that could have been a little bit more interesting into the Ashe Seraphine. But the Renekton worked in that one isolated incident where they got the flank onto Guma. Besides that, like, Pyke also doesn't do well when you fall behind. So when they lose control of the game, it all just falls apart so quickly. The early game was great, you know? It was 30 minutes ago, we were like, wait a minute, but...
The problem is it wasn't great enough. And that's the problem with Pyke composition, is you really need to snowball exceptionally hard. And they just didn't quite snowball hard enough. That's what it kind of felt like.
Yeah, certainly not. I mean, you watch some of these moments here and you're like, oh, if Kanavi wasn't there, this is so sick, right? But this is where they start to lose control over the game. And this is where this composition just becomes a pick comp in these scrappy fights. Loki was trying to save the game a little bit too hard at moments. I'll forgive, obviously, the dash into the arrow, but he was sometimes a little bit too late to these moments and still showed up, you know? Where it's kind of like, I'm ready to play, and Bro's like, man,
This was a sick team fight, though. Like, this was a sign of what the Bro composition was capable of. And just unfortunately, we only saw it that one time. And even when we did see it, it was only Teddy left alive at the end and not a whole lot to fight for.
It's just, you're not going to get that Renekton flank in a normal 5v5 in this game state more than like once, maybe 2 times in a game like this.
Yep.
This was also a really cool catch, but the lead was too big, right? We said this in the game 1. There were some cool heroics from Bro in a 10,000 gold deficit that looked cool, but ultimately didn't matter. It's the same sort of thing.
And you can see they're talking about Pentas. Unfortunately, there was, a Xin Zhao that let a Trundle run away. You can see Gideon there on the minimap. So no Penta really was available, as Teddy does get flashed over here, as Gumayushi will get punished towards the end, but it doesn't really matter too much. Having a listen here as HLE, looking like they're pretty cool, calm, and collected here at the end of game number 2.
Listen, I walk away from this series feeling like I still don't know where Hanwha are. Like, the Ziggs was cool. The drafts were great. Zeus played Gnar. We already knew that he's good at that, and it
we didn't learn a whole lot of extra things.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, okay, they 2-0 Bro this time. You know, they looked a lot better against Bro, but I'm looking for some more meat, right? I'm looking for a little bit more of a tougher matchup. I'm looking for Hanwha to be tested a little bit more directly.
Yeah, as Zeka is going to pick up player of the match here. 4-0-10 on the Rise and 8-2-5 on the Ziggs. And it's kind of funny, his Rise was incredibly impactful in game number 1, but I think for me, the most impressive part was the fact that his Ziggs was really good. And he's not really been known as much of a Ziggs player in the past.
Yeah, I really just appreciate that he was able to look so good on it, right? Which means I think he's working on some of these things. And obviously, again, it's against Bro, but that could have been against anybody. His individual performance was really strong.
Yeah, and it's a good counter matchup into the Azir as well, and having that string to your bow feels very, very nice. So I think we probably want to find some positives for the Bros, and I think next time we might have an easier matchup for them. This was going to be a difficult one no matter how you slice it up against HLE, but yeah, it's a little bit of a rough one as we are getting ready for the interview here with Zeka, and we'll see what Subin's got to ask him as well.
I thought Digon was doing the interview.
Oh yeah, it's still the first, right? Surely. Not this time around. Digon's Korean was all right though.
Yeah, I think the next matchup for the Bros is actually going to be B&K. So a bit of a tough week. You know, not the easiest one, but we'll see if they can bounce back.
We'll see what they can get done here. As now is it time to throw over to the interview with Zeka.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Dear for the POM interview translation, joined by Zeka on the side of Hana Life Esports. Zeka, you get to kick off the opening day with a win. How do you feel? You know, it's been a while since we were on stage, so I was feeling a little nervous, but it was honestly that much more fun, and I was quite excited for today. So after wrapping up LCK Cup early, you must have had some prep process for the regular season. Yeah, we had a very long period of break. And in the LCK Cup, we had a lot of shortcomings and there are a lot of moments that we need to fix. So we had to put in that much more practice to fix as much as things as we can. And you actually hit rank 1 in solo queue, so how much did it take to get there? Yeah, since we didn't have any big matches coming up, I think in the team, what you can do as a player, the best you can do is, you know, playing a lot of solo queue. So I did really do my best. I tried really hard. And in game 1, your Rise has massive presence, and the blind pick probably contributed a lot too. So how did it feel when Rise and Pantheon were both available together? Pantheon and Rise, they actually have really good synergy in terms of their global ults. So I think we just wanted to play our game in the early game and just snowball the game in the end. So I wanted to make sure that we could take that tempo. And in game 2, you picked Ziggs against Azir. And it was as seen from Knight from LPL. So did you draw inspiration from that? Yeah, in the LCK, I feel like it's quite difficult for Ziggs to win against Azir. I think it's because in the LCK there are such good Azir players. But I really did practice a lot, and I felt like in this meta it might be actually playable. So what makes Ziggs a good matchup against Azir? You actually have a lot bigger range. And I think right now, I feel like the champions that have explosive damage is actually quite preferred over those champions that do consistent damage. And today you laid against Bro's newly signed player, Loki, and he actually referred you as the mid laner he looks up to. So how was it? You know, I don't know. It could be empty compliments. Maybe he doesn't actually mean that, but I'm still really grateful for that. And I was just as nervous, and I feel like I didn't actually play perfectly as well, but honestly, he did really well. And as someone he looks up to, any kind words for him? You know, in the previous season, as you know, they finished higher ranked than us, so I think we just have to try even harder than them. And from your perspective, compared to the LCK Cup, what is the biggest meta shift so far? So team-wide or game-wise as well. But I think the game's tempo has been a lot faster lately. And I think we've been practicing based on that to match up with the shift. And even today, I felt like we had to move around a lot faster and end the game quickly as well. So do you think that actually gives you the edge? I actually really like those kind of comps. And what an amazing first win to start off the season. Your next opponent is T1. Any words for them? No, I think we'll just have to make sure that we analyze the next match and make sure that we're able to do well and perform even better this upcoming Saturday. And another occasion to celebrate. It is your 6th-year anniversary. Any word for your fans? Thank you so much for all the support, for all that time during the 6 years. And, you know, I hope that I can keep it up until 10 years and so on. And that's all from Zeka, and back to the desk. Thank you.